So I've tried Blackmagic Final Cut Camera and of course the built-in camera app. And as a non-professional, the Moment Pro Camera 2 app is the one that fits into my lifestyle. Let's get into it. So I'm not a filmmaker, I'm just a dad with a camera, usually chasing kids or a dog. I'm not trying to turn every video that I take into a full-blown production. And after spending quite a bit of time with Blackmagic Camera, Final Cut Camera, and the Moment Pro Camera 2 app, the Moment Pro Camera 2 app is the one that I go to on a day-to-day basis. I'll start with the good. Number one, auto ISO. Neither Final Cut Camera nor Blackmagic seem to support this. And where I'm at, it's actually a pretty big deal. Now, I'm still getting comfortable with iPhone ISO. I've been playing around with cameras for quite a bit of time now. And when it comes to iPhone video, I do want to stick to the 180 shutter angle rule as much as possible. I do want to get away from that choppy iPhone video and get smoother, more natural looking video. That's just me. When it comes to ISO, I do find that I have trouble just locking in the settings really quickly. Things are moving so quickly in my life, but I'm just not skilled enough yet to just know exactly which ISO to stick to. So auto ISO comes in really helpful when it comes to just, having it kind of in the right range that I want it to be for the location that I'm at and just kind of chasing the subject when the time is appropriate. And of course, with the app, it does let me set an exposure range, so I can choose max ISO or minimum ISO. If you see in the top right, you can see the ISO just changes. Super useful to me. I'm jumping between kids into the dark forest and out into the outside and back inside again. Sometimes I just get caught rather than lose the moment of like, hey kids, slow down. I can just choose auto ISO and that really helps with the way I shoot. The first time I did use auto ISO in low light, I was honestly shocked by how much room I had, how much I could push the sensitivity of the camera. And I've been way too afraid of noise for no reason. Well, that's something that I learned about while I was using this, because I was quite conservative when I used the Blackmagic Camera app, and for me that's learning. I learned that I can go up to a very decent ISO range in a fast-paced environment. I just wasn't able to really test it out enough that I found out that it was something I was comfortable with. Number two is it's one app, but it actually has both video and photo capabilities, and Blackmagic obviously doesn't have that, nor does Final Cut Camera. So I've been experimenting a lot more with iPhone lenses. The main photo camera app does have some limitations when it comes to lenses. It actually will override you a lot of times. It'll try to stick you into macro mode because it thinks there's something really close to you, and then you just get a nice really big shot of your lens instead of whatever your lens is trying to capture. By using the third-party camera app, you can tell it what to do. I use the camera control button to launch the main camera app. I still need to use it, QR codes, just taking regular pictures just to share with my wife of like a list or something like that. So I still use that all the time. I use the quick access button on the side to launch the Moment Pro Camera 2 app, and I found that really helpful to me. And I don't need third app to kind of just go into if I want to take a photo or a video. It just has both of them in there, and that's actually super helpful. So one button, one app, and both photo and video. Okay, number three, another reason that I'm using the Pro Camera 2 app by Moment is really that I don't feel like I'm missing out by using the Pro Camera 2 app at all. I feel like I'm in this sweet spot between the Final Cut Camera app and the capabilities of the Blackmagic Camera app. It has a lot of features, certainly more than Final Cut Camera, and while Blackmagic is still more powerful, Moment gets me close enough for how I shoot. Advanced monitoring features like live waveforms, histograms. I actually like the way the action plate on the Moment Pro Camera 2 app is set up. Kind of makes it feel like a camera that I've used in the past, having things like shutter priority. It's kind of intuitive to me as a traditional camera user. Of course, it has lots of profiles for me to play around with. Blackmagic's is good too. It just feels more like a tech product to me. I guess in some ways it's almost like a Fuji. Like you can, instead of having exposure priority, you just choose settings. So different strokes for different people. Plenty of photo and video formatting options. I don't imagine using much above H.265. I just don't want to pay for the storage to play with that, and I don't need to push it the way professionals do. The other thing I really like in the Pro Camera 2 app is they're kind of opposites, but in photo mode I do get to use both natural processing, and then conversely there's also, you can bake in LUTs on your photos. Natural processing mode, what does it do? Really, it lets you bypass Apple's built-in HDR and computational photography for cleaner, more realistic film-like images that require editing. So what does that mean? When you take a photo, your processor on your phone does a lot of things to get it into a space where it thinks the average human is going to find it pleasing, right? If you take a shot, you've got an overexposed background, but your subject is in focus. A lot of what photographers do, for instance, is they adjust the photo in various ways. Maybe they frame it differently. Maybe they take an HDR photo or something like that, so you get evenly exposed highlights. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but the iPhone kind of does it for you. And that's a good thing for most people, or probably 99% of people that are not photographers. But natural processing really just lets you go back to what your digital camera would be like back in 2005 or something like that. Reintroduces some of the problems, but it allows you as the user to fix them yourself. To me, it's something fun to experiment with. Maybe it's not something I use all the time, but I wouldn't mind playing around with it. So that's one of the reasons why I use the Pro Camera 2 app. Now, conversely, you can also use LUTs in the Pro Camera 2 app in photo mode, which I don't think is actually that common. Correct me if I'm wrong. A couple of years ago, Panasonic came up with a new camera that allows you to have LUTs on your photo side as well. And a whole bunch of people start using it for different things like film simulations, essentially, which I use a lot on my Ricoh. And before, when I had a Fuji, I did like playing around with those, like having certain looks to it, and then having your entire trip kind of have this similar look without going into editing. It's not something I've done a lot with yet, but it's something this year I think I'm going to try to get into when I go on some vacations this year. So I'm really looking forward to that on the photography side. So that's a pro for me. And I feel like I can learn either way and have fun doing both. I'll have fun editing specific shots that I take in natural processing mode, but I also feel I'll have fun kind of finding the right LUT and shooting a whole vacation with the same kind of look. It's supposed to be fun, and I think the Moment Pro Camera 2 app will be a fun thing for me to use. So there's also this small feature I really like. It's called the Remove UI button. It's on the top right. I didn't even know what it was officially called until I found it's called the Zen mode. And really what it does is it removes the entire interface from the Moment Pro Camera 2. It's just you, the viewfinder, and the shutter button. No overlays, no numbers, just the frame, essentially. And I do like that because, again, like if you want to take it up a level and not worry so much about settings once you've already locked them in, you're just worrying about the moment, I think it is pretty useful. I have used it when I've gone up for just kind of really quick trips with the kids. It's been really fun to just, once I've got the settings locked down, especially with the auto ISO, just really having the ability to just push the button when I feel ready to do so. So I haven't really seen it on other camera apps so far. Okay, but there is bad with the Pro Camera 2 app. I don't know bad, it's just missing features, or actually one is actually really bad. First is there's no remote control camera option. And if you ever use Blackmagic Camera app and you've used kind of two iPhones, one as a viewfinder and one as the shooter itself, you'll realize how useful the ability to use it as a remote camera is. So I kind of use it when I'm trying to film myself, for instance, on the Blackmagic Camera app. I can set it up somewhere else, take a look, make sure I'm in the right frame, and start and stop the camera, adjust the settings from a different iPhone altogether. That is super useful. Pro Camera 2 doesn't have it. I don't know if it's a niche feature, but that feature single-handedly is why I would keep the Blackmagic Camera app on my phone. It's just so useful. You can use another iPhone, you can use an iPad, you can use an Android phone, but it's just so useful, and Moment just doesn't have that yet. Okay, so what else? Occasionally I find the Pro Camera 2 app feel like beta. It did release pretty recently. One example is I once shot a long clip of my kid at the Harry Potter Forbidden Forest in Vancouver, and after I took a shot, I'm like, oh, hey, where's the photo? We walked away and I'm like, hey, Andrew, I don't think I got that shot. Maybe I didn't push the shutter button. Of course, that's not great because you had just done this very specific experience you lined up for, and that was a bit disappointing. But then what ended up happening is it just showed up on my phone like maybe 5 minutes later. So my guess is that it was processing the video before plunking in the camera roll. So that's a huge problem, obviously. And I Googled it. There are a lot of people that had flagged it. But one thing that Moment camera support has seemed to said is that it's tied to the camera roll and not to like save the file. So if you choose to save the files, like I don't think you'll get that problem. Or I haven't noticed it yet, but I haven't really shot as much with it yet. I just recently filed out potentially really significant problem, but I think it's on its way to being fixed. Number 3 is that it costs money. The Moment Pro Camera 2 app isn't free, unlike the Blackmagic or the Final Cut Camera app. It's a one-time purchase, which is huge. I really don't like subscriptions. It's about $10. I do think it's worth it, given what I've spent on other apps, but your mileage may vary on how much you want to spend on something. One thing I do think is Blackmagic Camera app, the zoom functionality is actually much more intuitive. You have a zoom rocker button in the Pro Camera 2 app, so that is good. I do like that it's a pretty smooth zoom. But if you got things like dolly zoom directly into specific focal lengths or more magnification strengths, so I really do like that actually on the Pro Camera 2 app. And when you combine that with ability to use another iPhone as a control, then you've got a really good ability to zoom in and zoom out on things very seamlessly without having any camera shake or anything like that. So really do like that functionality. One other thing I'd add is that Blackmagic Camera app has been around longer than the Moment Pro Camera 2 app. I have the Tilt grip that has a manual focus zoom rocker and shutter button. Well, it's supported in Blackmagic Camera 2, but it's not fully supported in the Moment Pro Camera 2 app. I actually don't have the manual focus capabilities with that particular accessory, but that may or may not affect you. So in conclusion, Moment Pro Camera 2 app is definitely not the most powerful app out there, but it is very powerful and is very useful where I am right now in terms of how I use my phone as a dad of a camera. I see for the foreseeable future, it's got so many features to me that I find very useful, and I do use it as my go-to. And the beauty of this is I don't have to delete Blackmagic Camera app, even though I don't use it all the time. There's just some features in it that I just really do like in that app, and I will continue to use. But on a day-to-day, 95% of the time, I'm opening Moment Pro Camera 2 app and not the Blackmagic for now. Anyway, until next time, peace.